Hey Dari, I was wondering, what company do you work for now and what does your job entail?
So I found an opportunity here in Philadelphia at the local pharmaceuticals where I could combine a little bit of that. So I do some science, I do more of a translation of science into business concepts and innovations. I spend a little bit of my time behind a desk, making a lot of calls, managing interpersonal relationships that support our formulations and some of the drugs we bring to market. So I'm not a formulation scientist. I don't sit in a lab, but I design concepts using my scientific background.
Did you know what you wanted to do with your PhD when you graduated?
Because I've always wanted to apply. I've always asked questions about how do I apply my science in a way that is directly applicable to industry, to bring scientific innovations directly to people.
What do you believe was most important on your CV?
Nothing on my CV, if you ask me, was very important. What was most important for me was that relationship. Build relationships with people, get to know people, get to understand what makes different people tick, and not just superficially, develop a keen interest in what you do and find ways to apply that.
What skills did you learn at Loma Linda that are important for your job?
So in our lab, we had to be creative at Loma Linda, and those set of skills translated to developing a keen interest and adapting what I really loved about science to business.
Do you have any advice for finding a postdoc position?
Well, if you're looking to do a postdoctoral fellowship, then invest in some time in seeking out labs that are very along the lines of what you want. Sometimes you think, oh, because I want to do pharmacology, I have to be in a pharmacology lab. I don't believe that directly. I think the set of scientific skills you're going to learn in your labs at Loma Linda translate very, very practically to several fields.
Was a postdoc required for your position?
No. But I'm currently, doors open. You're constantly seeking an opportunity.
Hi, my name is Wendell Smith. I'm a tech support specialist at eBioscience and I also work as a field application scientist. My background is molecular biology and virology. I have my PhD from the University of California, San Diego. Did my undergrad at the University of Houston. I did a postdoc at La Jolla Institute for Allergy and Immunology under Carl Ware.
Wendell, what does your job at eBioscience entail?
My job at eBioscience, I have two different positions. One, primarily is tech support. So tech support scientist generally helps people solve their problems. So if there's a problem with our reagent, or quite honestly, we get calls about science all the time, a person doesn't know how to do an assay, etc. We help them solve that problem. Generally, that job entails the ability to, you need a broad base of science, because when I first started I thought, oh, it's going to be a piece of cake. And what I've learned is it took about a year to get comfortable, because the questions come from every gamut of science. Chemistry, molecular biology, a lot of immunology, virology. They come from all over the place. You never really know. So the more you know in your base, the better you are at doing this job. Outside of the straight science, it's really important that you're a good communicator. At least I think I am. It's also good to be a good people person and be patient. Not everyone, when they call, especially if they're calling with a problem, are happy when they call. And part of your job is to let them know that you're there to help them, not so much support the company, but support them as a scientist to get a resolution. As an FAS, this is to take pretty much tech support on the road. You're supporting customers, but you're doing it on a face-to-face basis. So a lot of what I do in this aspect, visit different universities, Canada and the US primarily, but you travel a bit, you go to different labs. A lot of times you're talking about the different products. So you're trying to get a sense of what that university needs, and you're providing it. So the primary skill set, in addition to what you need as a good scientist, primarily is your ability to have a broad knowledge base and be a good speaker. And also get a sense for people. You have to have a good awareness of what a person needs and how what you do can fit well into what they need. So people with a bigger personality tend to do very well.
did you find your position?
My position came like 90+% of my colleagues through word of mouth, connections, networking. The days of being able to get a job just by sending an application or resume or a CV, those days are pretty much over as far as I can tell. I think everyone I know at eBioscience, for instance, was hired because they knew someone and had a connection that made an introduction that got their CV in front of someone. So I think that networking is critical these days to getting a position.
At what point should graduate students start looking for a job and networking?
As soon as possible. You're always networking. Every meeting that you go to, all of your colleagues that you meet throughout graduate school, throughout your postdoc career, even undergrad, you're constantly networking. There's never a time that you're not. You're actually, even when you have a job, you're always preparing yourself for the next position. So you're always in preparation.
Did you know what you wanted to do with your PhD when you graduated?
No. Some might argue that I still don't know what I want to do. For me personally, I had a general sense of what I wanted to do, but it's through the years changed from time to time. I knew I wanted to be in industry, but the exact niche changes. My name means wanderer, so I guess it's appropriate that I jump around a bit. But no, I didn't know. I still don't know what I'll be doing 10 years from now.
Did meeting people at conferences aid you in finding your position?
This position, no. I have met people at conferences that I helped get positions, and it is a good tool because it not only opens you up to vendors, it opens you up to other scientists. So if you're looking at academic, if you're looking industry, it's a good place to meet people. I found that personality means a lot more in industry than it does in academia. In academia, it's about the publications. In industry, it really is about how well you work as a team. It's people who build teams well and interact with individuals and communicate well tend to do better in industry than in academia. In academia, you can be a loner. Maybe you'll have a few colleagues that you collaborate with. In a company, everyone works as a single unit. The better, more efficient. If one person drops, everyone suffers. So you have to work well together.
How helpful is articles, books, and online resources helpful in finding a job outside academia?
I think that there are, it's mostly for academic positions, those tend to be very useful. I don't think they're very useful for finding positions in industry. There are some industry and there are some bigger companies that advertise, but you're not going to find the jobs at the smaller companies in those particular arenas. So if you're looking for an academic position, very useful. If you're looking for a position at a bigger company, somewhat useful.
What other types of job do you consider or apply for?
Actually, I was hoping to get a fellowship and work for the government, but I didn't get the fellowship. So this job came when I was actually in the process of trying to move my family because I thought I was going to get that. I didn't get that position. Very disappointed, but another door opened up.
Was a postdoc required for your position?
No, I alluded to that a little earlier, that you don't need a PhD, you don't need a postdoc, but it is very, very useful. Field application scientists meet a lot of people. The more knowledge you have, it's probably harder to do that with the master's. You'd have to have extensive experience. So a PhD is definitely a bonus. I know a number of companies don't hire outside of PhDs for this position. Field application scientist, you pretty much need a PhD for that one too. Again, you can get that experience otherwise, but it's kind of hard to do without it. So it's not required, but it's very advantageous to have.
Did you seek advice from people currently working outside of academia?
Well, I'm always looking for advice. I don't think you ever stop learning. So everyone I encounter is a potential friend later, is a potential source for knowledge. I'm always looking for advice. People generally are a good resource to gain understanding and knowledge into things that you do not know.